Morning, everybody. Welcome back. Man, it's bright and early this morning. Got down here. It hadn't been daylight long. We're gonna give it a try. Should be a fun day. We got good weather. You almost need a hoodie out here this morning. It's probably, I don't know, high 60s this morning. Fall is definitely just around the corner for sure. It won't be long, but let's go see if we can catch some crappie. I'm not gonna drag this out. I like to keep these intros pretty short and sweet, but y'all know the drill. Let's go try to catch a few. Stay tuned. I'm getting rigged up for the morning here, guys, and I want to show y'all something pretty cool right here. Now I'm just gonna tie this jig head on right quick. This is just a 1/16 ounce double cross jig head, crappie magnet. Just gonna tie a real quick little loop knot here. All right, got my loop knot done just like that. Now, here's a pretty cool little hack that I've started doing some with my crappie magnet. Now, crappie magnet's a little bit different profile than a lot of baits. A lot of baits have a straight tail. Crappie magnet, if you rig it the way it's designed to be rigged, it's kind of got that split tail like that right there, and it comes through the water, kind of gives it a little different profile, and it works really, really good that way. But there are times when I like a straight tail. So what I do is I just take a little pair of scissors and I go right here and I cut one of those tails off. So now I'm going to rig that bait. I'll show you guys how I rig it. I'm going to go right down the seam of that bait. Come out right on that seam, keep it perfectly straight. Push it all the way up on that head just like that. Now I've got a straight tail bait, and you can see that little tail just sitting there jiggling, jiggling, jiggling. I like that. I think it gives it that tail more action, because the split tail, it's got more of a glide to it. But then when you do this right here, that tail is going to have a little bit more action. Just a different profile. You know, if you're a guy that likes a straight tail bait, give that little hack a try, because I figured that out last year and I played around with it a lot, and it definitely works. I'm going to take and I'm going to put me just a little bit of chartreuse, put just a little touch of chartreuse dye right on the tail of that jig, just like that right there, and we're ready to go fishing. There's a good crappie. Two big dots sitting down in that brush pile, and I got one of them, and it's a daggum good one too. Big old white crappie. Golly, I had to switch colors, but we got him. Now that's a cool fish right there. I don't catch a whole lot of white crappie because most of the lakes I fish don't have a whole lot of them, but they are native around here. They were here probably before the blacks were, but man, that's a cool fish right there. I'm gonna let him go. She is pretty. That fish is already fat. Starting to fatten up for the winter. Man, what a cool fish. Golly, that's pretty. Big old white crappie. Get on back in there, girl. Them big white crappie, they got that big old mouth. And most of the time, whenever they hit it, they give you that thump. Oh, that's cool. What a cool way to start the morning. I changed to black and chartreuse because it's kind of cloudy this morning. But I did the same thing on that black and chartreuse. I cut one of the legs off of the crappie magnet and just rigged it with a straight tail. And like I said, just gives it a different profile. But there we go. That one, I pulled it over the stump and stopped it for a second. She come up out there, thumped the fire out of it. That's another one on the black and chartreuse. That's a good fish too. Oh, come on in here. That's what we're talking about. That's a pretty one. On that crappie magnet again, when one of the tails cut off, it just gives it a different profile. Makes it a good little bait. Throw that one back, get back in there and get us another one. There's one. That feels like a nice one. Oh yeah, another nice one. Another black crappie. Definitely more blacks than whites in here, but that's a pretty one. Not a great big one, probably 11.5 inches, maybe 12. Pretty fish. It's another one for the black and chartreuse. I don't throw black and chartreuse a whole lot. I should probably throw it more, honestly, because it's a really good color for crappie, but I just figured I'd try it this morning because I threw a couple of natural colors and they weren't working real good. Let me show y'all active target right here. See these 3 big dots sitting right on the stump? That's where the 3 big ones I've caught off this stump, that's exactly where they've come from. You see some more smaller stuff up here, but those are the big crappie right there. And what I'm having to do, it's funny, this morning I've got spot lock on and I'm using my turret. You can see how my boat's just sitting dead still. It's because there's current coming down this river this morning. And I'm having to, it's a 1/16 ounce head. That's what I can get them to bite. So I'm having to cast up and just kind of float my bait real natural right over the top of those stumps. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm getting these fish to bite, because it just looks so natural coming with the current like that. There's one. Dude, there knocked slack in it when he hit it. The sun came out. Come here, boy. Sun came out. I picked up killer clat again. And still the same setup. Boy, I got him in the tough part of the mouth. Golly, that was not coming off. Another decent one, skinny one. These fish hadn't put that winter feed bag on. At least most of them hadn't. Some of them are fattening up already, but for the most part, they're still pretty skinny. I want to show you guys my rod and reel setup here today. It's a little different than the norm for me. I've got the 6.6 light action mustad detector rod. Been using these rods for about a week now. Awesome rods. I've caught a lot of fish on them so far. I really like them, but I like that light action because what it's allowed me to do is use 5-pound vicious panfish braid. That's 5-pound braid, little bitty thin stuff. Man, you can cast that stuff a mile. And I've got about a 6-foot leader of 4-pound vicious 100% fluorocarbon tied with a double uni knot right there. And I mean, I can feel those fish just, I swear I can feel when one poots on that dang jig. I'm telling you guys. I like it. I like it a lot. I really do. I'm not gonna get completely away from mono. On the little 6-foot medium light, I'm still throwing 4-pound mono, just like I always have, the vicious panfish mono. But on this 6.6 and that 7.2 light, I've got them rigged up with braid with a leader. And I don't know, man. I don't know which one I like best, but I'm liking this setup. I really am, because you can feel every little thing that's going on. I mean, when them little bitty bluegill go to tapping at your jig, you can feel it. When a crappie thumps it, golly, it feels like the best bass bite you ever had. But pretty cool little setup for you braid guys. I definitely recommend the 6.6 or the 7'2" light mustad detector rod. Yes. I had to put black and chartreuse in there. I tried mermaid, it didn't work. Put old black and chartreuse down there and he grabbed it. Another good keeper. Not a great big one, but Decent little crappie. Been a fairly slow morning. They're just not biting real good. I was at a different lake yesterday and they were biting like crazy, so I kind of figured today it'd probably be a little bit slower. But we're catching a few. There's one. Feels like a nice one there too. I'm just having to switch up jig colors, switch up presentations, just till I finally trigger one of these fish to bite. They are just not really biting real good this morning. I got that one on I got a 1/16 head. I put the mermaid on there, and that mermaid's chartreuse and blue, got some silver and blue flake in it. And I put a size 5 split shot up above it because there's so much current I could keep up with it better. And that's the first one I've got to bite it. Several of them sitting down there, and I've done fished. I know it looks like I'm probably fishing the same spot still, but there's a lot of different stumps out in here, and I've done fished about 5 or 6 different ones, and every one of them have crappie on them. It's just triggering one to bite. I'm right in them right now. There's one. Four or five sitting down there on a stump. Finally got one of them to bite. I knew it was crappie. The two things it could be, either crappie or spotted bass. I was pretty sure that it was crappie the way they were acting. They're all about the same size too. Nice size fish. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. There's one. There's a nice one. That crappie hit it and was coming up with it. I had slack in my line. I just knew something was different. So I set the hook, and sure enough, I got him. That's a nice fish right there. Pretty one. It's not been easy this morning, but we've put together a decent little sack of them for sure. We'll put him back. I got plenty of crappie in the freezer. I'm not going to keep any today, but there's one. Looks like a decent fish. Huh, that's why. What about that? Y'all see that? Pretty decent spotted bass. Give us a good little battle on 4-pound line. He's gonna jump again. No, he's not. He is. A lot of these brush piles not only have crappie and bluegill, it's a whole dang ecosystem down there. They got a lot of spotted bass in them too. Come around here, boy. He ain't real big, but he's a pretty one. First cast in a new spot. Been idling for quite a while, trying to find me something new. I found a new brush pile right here. Get back down there. That was fun. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up another one. Another fun day, another good day. Did a lot of looking today. You know, one tip or one thing that I would tell anybody, you know, anytime you go fishing, just fun fishing, of course, obviously, if you're fishing a tournament or something, you're gonna go straight to the juice. But if you're just out fun fishing, just having a fun day, spend at least 1 or 2 hours looking for brand new stuff, looking at stuff that you've never even looked at before. And you'd be surprised how much new stuff you'll find and how many new places to fish you'll find if you'll just give it 1 or 2 hours every time you go. I probably spent, I'd say 3 or 4 hours today looking for new stuff, and found some really cool new brush piles that have a lot of crappie in them. So a fun day. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time right here, Brandon Lester Fishing.